The dirty read problem is avoided by preventing T3 from reading balance from X until the completion of T4 transaction, either commit or roll back. So T3 should wait till T4 completes. So T3 preventing T3 from reading the balance X until the completion of T4 transaction, either commit or abort. So by that we can avoid this problem. What is this problem? The uncommitted dependency problem, the second one that may arise due to concurrent transactions, that is dirty read problem. The first two problems we have seen in these examples concentrate on transactions that are updating the database and their interference may corrupt the database. So this conflicts. So whatever the problems we are seeing in the first two problems, that interference may corrupt the database. Now let us see the last problem, third problem, the inconsistent analysis problem. So this problem occurs when a transaction reads several values from the database, but a second transaction updates some of them during the execution of first. So you can understand by seeing this example. Let us see the example first. In this figure, transaction T6 is executing concurrently with transaction T5. Parallelly, T6 is concurrently executing with T5. What transaction T6 is doing here? Transaction T6 is totaling the balances of X with the initial balance 100 rupees, balance Y initial value is 50 rupees, balance Z is initial value 25 rupees. So this T6 is summarizing all the accounts balances, that is T6 is doing. See here, at time T1 this T6 started, and at the time T2 T5 started. Parallelly, T6 taken the sum variable at time T2, T6 taken sum variable to summarize each account balance. Next, at a time T5 at time T2 also T5 started, and at time T3 both the transaction reads X balance, both at time T3 both the transactions T5 and T6 reading the balances. At time T4 transaction T5 deducting 10 rupees from X. At the same time, T6 summarizes the balance and it stores the previous value into X, that is 100 rupees. It is deducting the balance from X. At the same time, it is summarizing. It is deducting and it is summarizing. So which value it is summarizing and storing the value? So it reads the balance, the initial amount, that is 100 rupees, and it summarizes. And the sum value we are seeing here and storing the X value, summarized value, that is 100 rupees. You can observe the sum value of X here. At time T5, transaction T5 updating the balance by using write command. It is updating the balance, write command. So 100 minus 10, 90 rupees into X account. So now X account balance is 90 rupees. But see, the sum value of X was 100 rupees. In sum value, instead of 90, we stored it as 100 rupees by T6 transaction. And also you can observe the transaction T5. The deducted balance 10 rupees adding to Z account. See here. Again it is reading the Z balance and adding that 10 rupees to balance Z account. That is transferring 10 rupees from X to Z. Here the problem is transaction T6 has wrong result because in some values the X value was 100 rupees. X value was 100 rupees. And on that 100 rupees value again Y balance 50 rupees added. So it is 150 rupees. And result 150 rupees. And added Z balance. And finally we got 185 rupees. 185. So Z balance. At last to the 150 we added 35. That means previously Z balance is 25 and added 10 rupees by this operation, and we are writing that the Z account balance became 35 rupees and 150 plus 35 185, but the actual value should get is 175 rupees, but the wrong result we got, that is 185 rupees. So this is one problem we are facing, that is called as inconsistent analysis problem. So this problem occurs when a transaction reads several values. T6 is reading several values from the database, but the second transaction updates some of them during the execution of the first. So during the execution of T6, it is doing some updations. It is only reading the values. T6 is just reading the values and summarizing. But T5, during the reading, T5 is doing some updations. So because of that, we get this problem called inconsistent analysis problem. So this problem is avoided by preventing T6 from reading X balance, X account balance and Z account balance until after T5 has completed its updates. So T6 should wait. T6 should prevent his reading the X balance and Z balance accounts till T5 updates on X and Z completed. So by that we can avoid this inconsistent analysis problem. So these are the three problems may occur with the concurrent transactions, simultaneous transactions, parallel transactions. Now let us see about serializability, that is very important. So we have seen the problems in previous examples. If transactions execute simultaneously or concurrently. So the objective of concurrency control is what? The objective of the main aim of concurrency control is to schedule the transactions in such a way as to avoid any interference between them, and hence we prevent the problems. However, in real time, especially in online accessing the database by multi-users, there should be concurrent transactions or parallelism in the system, so that transaction that can execute without interfering with one another can run in parallel to have consistent state of the database. So all the transactions that access different parts of the database can be scheduled together without interference. Let us see the definition of a schedule. What is this schedule? It is a sequence of operations by a set of concurrent transactions that preserves the order of the operations in each of the individual transactions. That preserves the order of the operations in each of the individual transactions. What is this schedule? Schedule means it tells the order of the operations. So which operation should execute first and which operation in the transaction should execute next. So it tells the order of the operations of the each individual transaction of concurrent transactions. So that is the simple sentence we can tell about the schedule. Next, what is this serial schedule? It is a schedule where the operations of each transactions are executed consecutively without any interleaved operations from other transactions. So serial schedule means it is opposite to concurrent transactions. That means concurrent transactions means so both the transactions are executing parallelly, but it is not like that. It is quite opposite to that. Serial schedule means consecutive. That means the transactions are performed in serial order. For example, if we have two transactions T1 and T2, serial order would be T1 followed by T2 or T2 followed by T1. So it means after completing T1 operations only, transaction T2 starts. Thus, in serial execution, there is no interference between transactions. So, if all the transactions execute serially, there will be no interference, there will be no conflicts, there will be no problems, since only one is executing at any given time. But in real time, all the transactions, that means multiple users are accessing the database, part of a database at a time, simultaneously. So we need concurrent access, means it is must to access the transactions in parallelly in real time. Now let us see what is non-serial schedule. See the definition. It is a schedule where the operations from a set of concurrent transactions are interleaved. Interleaved. So here interleaved means before completing one transaction in execution, in between, simultaneously, other transaction also starts execution. It means after executing part of the operations, some operations in one transaction, simultaneously, parallelly, the other transaction also starts its execution. That is called interleaving, that is parallelly. So some operations are executed in one transaction. Parallelly, the second transaction also starts its execution. That is called as this interleaved. So non-serial schedule means a schedule where the operations from a set of concurrent transactions are interleaved. Next one, the important definition, serializability. What is this serializability? So it's very important. The objective of serializability is to find non-serial schedules. To find non-serial schedules that allow transactions to execute concurrently without interfering with one another and thereby produce a database state that could be produced by a serial execution. Such a schedule is called serializable. It means if a set of transactions executes concurrently, that is non-serial schedule, is correct. So when the concurrent transactions execution correct, if it produces the same result as serial execution of the same transactions, then such a schedule is called serializable. So this is only the definition we are seeing. We can understand by seeing the example, can understand better. So in other words, even then the transactions executes concurrently or simultaneously, that is with interleaving operations, The result of that should always equal to the result if same transactions execute serially. We know what is serial transactions. So the result always should be equal. Even then the both transactions execute serially, and even then the both transaction execute concurrently, the result, the last value should be equal. Always that concurrent transactions final result should equal with its serial transactions. If it executes serially, whatever the result we may get, the same value we should get even with the concurrent execution of those transactions. Then only it is correct. That concept is called serializable. So you can understand more better by seeing this example. In serializability, the ordering of read and write operations is important. The ordering of read and write operations is important. If two transactions only read a data item, they do not conflict and order is not important. So we have two transactions, okay, and then those transactions only reading, that means no modification, no write operation on the same data item, then they do not conflict, they do not interfere, and order is not important. That is one point you have to remember. And the second one is, if two transactions either read or write completely separate data items, so T1 is reading the X data item, or T2 is writing some other data item, different data item, they do not conflict and order is not important. That means not on the same data item the transactions are doing operations. So T1 is reading some other data item, T2 is writing some other data item, separate data items, separate accounts. They do not conflict and order is not important. It means two transactions accessing different data items or different accounts. Obviously, they do not conflict and order is not important. The last point is important, that if one transaction write a data item and another either reads or writes the same data item, so on the same data item two transactions performing read and write, then the order of execution is important. Consider these examples. Consider these examples as A, B, C. Figures, examples, and transactions T7 and T8. T7 and T8. Examples A and B are concurrent transactions. This first two transactions are concurrent transactions. See here. So parallelly it is executing. Concurrent transaction. C is serial transaction. That means after completing all the operations in transaction T7, then only T8 starts. That is serial transactions. See the example A, that is first example. Since the write operation on balance X, write operation on balance X, write operation on balance X in T8 does not conflict with the subsequent read operation on balance Y. So after writing the balance X, immediately the next operation in T7 is reading the balance Y. So no conflict, because it is writing the balance X and then it is reading the balance Y on the different account in T7. So does not conflict with each other. We can change the order. So we can change the order of these operations to produce the equivalent schedule S2 shown in second figure. This is second figure. So just we have changed some operations. So after changing the order of these operations, so the equivalent schedule S2, the figure B, the second example we get here. So like this, the figure C shows serial schedule S3 of figure A and B. So the first two transactions we have concurrent transactions. For these two transactions, this last example, the last figure is serial transaction of these both transactions. Serial. That means, so writing all the operations of T7 first, read balance X, write balance X, read balance Y, write balance Y. First complete, write complete operations of T7. Then write complete transactions operations of T8. So this is serial transformation. That means serial transaction, serial schedule of these two concurrent transactions. So figures A and B are non-serial schedules S1 and S2. Figure C is serial schedule S3 equivalent to S1 and S2. So S1 and S2 are serializable schedules. S1 and S2 are serializable schedules. So this type of serializability is known as conflict serializability. So why these two are serializability? Why these S1 first figure A and figure B are called as serializability? Because now see here, if a set of transactions execute concurrently, non-serial, like this, the schedule is correct if it produces the same results as some serial execution. So we are transforming into serial transactions, serial schedule of these two concurrent transactions. So that is called as same results as some serial execution. Such a schedule is called serializable. So S1 and S2 are serializable schedules because we have produces the same results as the some serial is execution. Now, this type of serializability is known as conflict serializability. This type of serializability is known as conflict serializability. So, conflict serializability is a schedule. Conflict serializability is a schedule. It can be transformed into a serial schedule by swapping non-conflicting operations. So we have in this example figures, the A and B figures, the first two figures are concurrent transactions with non-conflicting operations. So there is no conflicts in these two concurrent transactions, no interferences, no conflicts. So non-conflicting operations and concurrent. So that we can transform to serial schedule. So we have transformed these two concurrent transactions with non-conflict operations, and we transformed into serial transactions, serial schedule, like in figure C. So it is called conflict serializability also. It is serializability in that we can call which type of serializability it is called conflict serializability. It is a schedule. It can be transformed into a serializable schedule, serial schedule by swapping non-conflicting operations. Next, the important, very important type of serializability. In serializability, so one type of serializability we have seen, that is conflict serializability. Then this is another type of serializability. In the serializability only, this is another type, that is view serializability. So what is view serializability? It is a process to find out that a given schedule is view serializable or not. It is a process. So we have a given schedule. We have one schedule. So we have to check whether it is view serializable or not. So this view serializable is a process to find that a given schedule is view serializable or not. Let us see in detail about this view serializability because it is important. What is schedule here? What is schedule here? Order of operations of a concurrent transactions. Schedule means order. Okay, so to check whether a given schedule is view serializable, we need to check whether the given schedule is view equivalent to its serial schedule. Just listen the definition. We are seeing with the examples, so you can understand by seeing the example. Just see the definition. If a given schedule is view equivalent to its serial schedule, then that schedule is called as view serializability. Okay, so here we know what is the serial schedule. What is serial schedule? The transactions execute one after the other, not simultaneously. Sequentially, transactions executes, then that is called as serial schedule. Then we need to know about what is this view equivalent. What is this view equivalent? That we have to know now. It is, if any schedule is view equivalent to its serial schedule, then that is called as view serializability. Now let us know about view equivalent with the example. This is given schedule. We have two transactions T1 and T2. T1 first reading and writing on data X, data item X, reading and writing. And parallelly T2 starts and performing read and write on X. And next parallelly T1 doing operations on Y, reading and writing. And then T2 also doing the operations on Y, reading and writing. So this is the one schedule we have taken. So with this we are checking whether it is view serializable or not. So this is the example schedule we have taken to check whether it is view serializable or not. The serial schedule of the above given schedule is like this. So first we have taken one example schedule with concurrent transaction, interleaving operations. The same schedule we are transformed into serial schedule of the same given schedule. We know what is serial schedule. So what is serial schedule? A transaction only starts when the current running transaction is finished. So the serial schedule of the above given schedule would be look like this. This is serial transactions of the previous one. If we can prove that the given schedule is view equivalent to its serial schedule, then the given schedule is called view serializable. What is view equivalent? That is what the main we want to know. Let us learn how to check whether the two schedules are view equivalent. So what are the two schedules here? This is schedule 1. This is S1. This is serial schedule that we have transformed, that is S2, consider S1 and S2. These two schedules are view equivalent or not, that is what we are checking. If two schedules T1 and T2 are said to be view equivalent, if they satisfy all the following conditions. If these two schedules of T1 and T2 satisfy all the three conditions, then we can say it is view equivalent. So what are those three conditions that we are seeing? See the first one, initial read. Initial read means what? The first read operations on a data item. So initial read of each data item in transactions must match in both schedules. For example, if T1 reads a data item X before transaction T2 in schedule S1, then in schedule S2 also T1 should read X before T2. So just we are seeing the definitions. Again we are comparing these conditions with our examples. So this is first condition. The next condition is final write. So final write operations on each data item must match in both the schedules. For example, a data item X is last written by transaction T1 in schedule S1. Then in S2, the last write operations on X. Same, that should match. It should be performed by transaction T1. Then that is the second condition. Final write operations on each data item must match in both the schedules. The last one is, third condition is, if in schedule S1 the transaction T1 is reading a data item updated by T2, then in schedule S2 T1 should read the value after the write operation of T2 on same data item. For example, in schedule S1 T1 performs read operations on X after the write operations on X by T2. Then in S2 T1 should read the X after T2 performs write on X.